And we're live. I just set up the Trouble uh, channel on Discord if anyone wants to join me. Um, Beware if you are breaking up because you are drinking. Just like Phantom Lion yesterday, I could just kick you from the room because, I deal with that shit enough in my daily life. Don't need that on my live streams in my free hobby time. You know, um, yeah. I'm not saying that I'm not here for you guys if you have a problem. I'm just saying I'm here to an extent. You know, uh, you gotta have boundaries in your life. You gotta set up those boundaries and stick to them. And I give people a lot of leeway, but when it comes to not being able to understand someone, and it's like you're not holding the phone close enough to your face and the signal's breaking up anyway, and you're drunk and you're speaking through a mask and you sound like Batman. There's layers to these things that can get to me. Anyways, the titular topic of this live stream is something that happened uh, in Denver today. More of a quarantine happened because Mayor Hancock was pissed off by the sight of people picnicking and playing volleyball in the parks and doing all sorts of social stuff without social distancing. So he realized that his original orders for people sheltering in their homes were not being taken seriously because he didn't put any teeth on it. It was just guidelines. And the governor came out and said, okay, businesses that have non essential personnel need to reduce their non essential staff by 50%. That was the guideline. And yeah, is anyone taking it seriously? Well, I know for a fact Kroger and Walmart are, and also Walgreens. Now, what Kroger and Walmart have done is they sent all of their managers these letters saying that you can travel through a lockdown quarantine, but the workers that are, I guess, expendable, um, they they don't get a letter. Now at Walgreens, I know someone personally who got a letter who works in the pharmacy. So, uh, people are getting ready for the stricter quarantines of, say, San Francisco, because that's going to become all of us in a little while. Um, so anyway, today the mayor of Denver, not the governor of Colorado, the mayor of Denver, which is surrounded by 5 other counties, mind you, the mayor of Denver City and County said, okay, starting tomorrow, people have to shelter in their homes until April 10th. No non essential travel, and you're allowed out to exercise, and you can even use the park as long as you are doing social distancing. And in the exemptions for things that are essential, uh, what was not listed was liquor stores and also pot shops. So liquor stores and pot shops were not going to be open, and people freaked out, right? They they could not handle that news, and some of them were actually colleagues of mine in the addiction counseling world, because if you take away liquor stores, those people who have been self-medicating with alcohol because their withdrawal symptoms are so severe that they cannot live without alcohol, they would slam the detox. And by slam, I mean they'd all try to pack in there, and they would spill out into the emergency rooms. They would. They are so numerous. The people who would have seizures and die if you close all the liquor stores with no access whatsoever. So now, after just like one day of announcement in the morning, by the afternoon, the backlash that the mayor received for not letting liquor stores and pot shops be in the exemptions, it was so big that he had to listen. And so now we have this exemption that says, okay, as long as they have social distancing, which means no one can be within 6 foot of another person in the shop. It's not a total lockdown like China would have had, and they're going to spread coronavirus germs onto, say, the handles of all the refrigerators, you know. But it's something, you know. But also, pubs are allowed to continue to deliver, like microbreweries that have, a kitchen and their own special brew. They're allowed to take orders and deliver to customers, and also do takeout as long as there's social distancing. Now, a restaurant that was following the governor's order that there's no indoor dining because of the want for social distancing. A restaurant that was allowing people to congregate outside and also serving them alcohol was shut down. So I can tell you of at least one instance where they were taking that social distancing aspect seriously, but it also takes a proactive police officer in the moment that isn't exercising his discretion to allow a business to stay open. Because if this officer were to have just said, "Okay, slap on the wrist time," because we serve the community and we need these essential businesses for jobs, then there would have been maybe a disbursement of those people for an hour or two, and then they would have recongregated because people are people, or they would have found a different restaurant to stay outside. But now, because one restaurant was shut down, a bunch of other restaurants figured out that they can get shut down, and so now they're kind of policing themselves. So sometimes it takes, you know, somebody to be made an example of. Uh, Jamie Demeter says, if you are quarantined all the time, why not do a 24-hour stream? Well, for one, I sleep. Now, I have been a part of different things like the Madness, Mayhem, and Charity thing that lasted 24 hours, but I wasn't awake for the whole 24 hours. That was like a host every hour, right? Also, I don't think that I have 24 hours of content and babbling to give you guys uh, each day. I figure that the 1 hour of my life that I'm giving you each day into this window into my life is enough. I don't think I just I'm not that narcissistic that I think that you need my opinion on everything. And if I take everything that I experienced in the day and condense it down into just an hour and talk with you guys as well, I think that that's a good balance, because there are some people who would just read to you from the top 10 trending things on Yahoo and then go to Reddit and see what's trending on the Reddit front page and just try to hold a conversation through that whole thing. You know, I just don't feel like you guys need to hear my opinion about all the things, just the things that interest me enough to include them in this distilled down hour that I've been giving you guys each night. And sometimes not even that. Sometimes you get a video without even a discussion, because life isn't always that interesting that you need to share it to everyone. It's the real narcissists here on this platform that can think that you guys need to hear their opinion so much that they branch out into podcasting and make a 4-hour podcast each and every fucking day for you. Holy shit. You know, uh, they're not that interesting. They might think that they are because they're fueled by pot. I'm not going to get any more specific than that, but yeah. Brett Werner seems to think that the flu-like symptoms that China and Italy have is from the 5G towers that have been uh, going up. Um, Correlation does not imply causation, but I can see that 5G has coincided with this pandemic in a small way. I mean, Denver's had 5G downtown for a while. They've had towers, and people wondered why the towers have to look like they do. It's because it's actually a joint effort in technologies. And one of the things about these towers is that they have pickups for gunshots, so that they can basically locate where a gunshot happened, so that they can, converge cameras on it and alert police as to the location of where shots were fired. Uh, Brett thinks, I wonder if the reason they know we will be sick soon is the activation of 5G in each city. No, they know because they've done modeling about infection, and they know that people are dumb enough to not self quarantine. You know, it's just a matter of how much can we stall everyone from getting it so that we can approach it with a response from our medical system that isn't just horribly overwhelmed by a tsunami of initial cases. So, yeah, it's not that they know because they're causing it, it's that they know because even in models where there is no intentional spread, we will have this kind of outcome. And in fact, I've said this before on my channel. You could have, say, a Russian operative intentionally get himself sick with the coronavirus, and then intentionally travel to each city that was a hot spot for the coronavirus, all of the major cities in the U.S. And by this point, that one agent still could not really make a really big difference in the fact that we're already all going to get it. You know, we're already all infected. You couldn't have somebody intentionally trying to weaponize this and get more spread than the virus just does itself and people themselves. After that initial bit of infections, we're toast. And so, uh, because we couldn't lock it down to just the province that Wuhan, China is in, it's now everywhere. Poof. You don't have any need to weaponize it beyond infecting one big city like that. And then they all have it because human beings are interconnected on this planet more than they ever have been. Globalization for the win. Um, let's see. The Loner says, I've been playing a drinking game during the recent COVID task force briefings. Every time Trump says something ridiculous, my favorite thus far was a factor of many, many, many. Yeah, combine Trump with coronavirus, and you have two words that I just don't like hearing throughout my day, but I have to. Uh, in 4 years from now, maybe 5, if I could just go my whole day without hearing uh, coronavirus, Donald Trump, theist, vegan, and just for shits and giggles, I'm going to throw the word in diet. Okay, as in Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, Diet Mountain Dew. Fuck diet. It's a 4-letter word. You know what I mean. Aries says 5G is satanic. About as much as Central Air is the greatest sin. That's a reference to the movie Dogma, by the way. Aries says, actually, the WHO has indicated that consuming alcohol might weaken your immune system. Yeah, and also I heard that ibuprofen is not good to take. You should go for Tylenol instead when you get a fever from this this coronavirus. And this actually happened to me not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before. I was in the VA hospital with a case of the flu, and I took ibuprofen and did not have the knowledge in my head that acetaminophen, or whatever the British are calling it now, I, I don't even want to pronounce whatever with the shit that they're saying, right? Acetaminophen, it breaks fevers, and it's written right on the side of the bottle. Pretty much, no matter what brand, even the generic brands that you buy, you look at the side of a Tylenol bottle, and it says the fever reducer, and it still was not in my brain, and so, uh, yeah, I went to the emergency room, and I was there in the hospital for a day and a half. I was admitted, and they just gave me water and Tylenol and watched me. And I could have done that shit at home, but I did have a 105-degree fever, so it was time for me to go in. But seriously, if I had taken the Tylenol at home, I might not have had that 105-degree fever. Kip Jordy says you can block them 5G waves with aluminum hats. I'm selling them. Wow. Jamie says 5G is satanic like monster drinks and Pokemon and Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. So when I heard that they had caved on the whole alcohol thing, that we like when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh my goodness, we're going to have a mandatory dry county right in the middle of Colorado for like 2.5 weeks because they're going to lift it on April 10th." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is going to have so many people be able to address their addiction by not have anything available for 2 weeks, right?" And yes, there are some people who are going to be serious cases. And yes, in this time of a pandemic, you don't want all of those people hitting the emergency rooms for that reason, right? Our emergency rooms are already uh, strained because of the pandemic. But I thought it might have been a good thing for those people who are not so horrible into their dependence of alcohol that they could actually just sit at home and make a life change. It takes a while to create good habits, you know, and time for a good habit. Stop drinking. Um, Aries says gargle toilet paper with salt and hot water every hour for maximum protection. And then he adds don't. And I'm sorry that Aries had to add the whole don't thing because so many people will take shit seriously. There was a case of people drinking bleach. Misty told me a story of some couple that took a drug that was meant for aquariums, and the husband died. And I don't even know that they were already sick. I think they were just trying to do it as a preventative. Now that's like, third hand me just hearing her saying that. But yeah, you have to put out there, don't do this. I'm being sarcastic. You have to shake people by the shoulder and say, hey, I was joking sometimes because you actually could get someone in trouble. Jamie thinks that I'm the guy that worships the globalist agenda and New World Order. Uh, and he's quoting, we're already infected by the virus, so there's no point in trying to stop it and can't lock it down. Um, I do think that infection is inevitable for most of the country. You're just going to happen across it and get it. But prevention is not uh, futile. We still get good results because so Phantom Lion saw that I was on Discord and tried to personally call me because, of course, you get drunk and you don't realize that people are doing other things. I only left the Discord on so that I would be in a specific channel that he has been in before and he could go to. Drunk people. Ah. Anyways, there are still benefits from trying to prevent and delay. You know. See. There he is. Son of a bitch. Give me a second. Oh, fuck me. Hey, Michael. Hi.
Sorry. Discord settings are a little wacky.
Hey, you're sounding a little bit better today.
I'm sorry. I was angry and just full of rage. It's just I can fight my way out of damn near anything, but it's a fucking invisible enemy.
Yeah. Aren't you translucent?
Oh, well.
That's like the power of the Phantom Lion is to like become a translucent sort of phantom figure. I've seen your videos.
Yeah, Michael. We're well acquainted, you and I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some questions for you.
Yes. What are the questions?
Now, I could be wrong about this, but why the fuck haven't we mobilized the military yet for the fucking virus?
Okay, so there's a couple reasons. The first of which is quartering. It's against our constitution to uh, quarter soldiers in people's homes and on private property. But that being said, uh, you have not seen the videos of uh, the APCs that are rolling out in New York.
Oh, they've mobilized in New York, have they?
Yes, I've seen people's videos on TikTok about that.
Very good.
And that's the National Guard.
Okay, good. It makes me feel a little bit better.
Here in Colorado, I have not seen that yet, and I'm in Denver. But they wouldn't need to in Colorado Springs because they're surrounded by 5 military installations anyway. The day that they want to just crack down and clamp down on Colorado Springs, they'll just, drive off post. They've got all the vehicles there. But Denver would be a lot harder to lock down with like the National Guard or the Army.
Right. Well, I've been trying to track as best I can, but it's quick, Michael.
Do you think that you already have the virus?
No, I would trust me. I know my system is pretty fantastic.
You just went a little bit more quiet, like the end of the call yesterday.
No, it's just my fucking. So I'm gonna try.
And now you're dropping like you were yesterday.
Hello. Testing.
Are you trying to lay down with your phone?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Are you sure you don't have the virus? Because dry cough is one of the symptoms, and you always sound kind of raspy.
Michael, it's the beginning of allergy season.
And you're just breaking up. I can't hear you.
Is this better?
That's a little bit better.
Okay.
Jamie says he's on Discord and wants to know where I am on Discord. Does not realize that I have my own Discord and that the easiest way to get access to it is to pledge $1 to my Patreon, get the access, and then pull your pledge, and then poof, you're on my Discord. And then It's a pretty open thing.
Michael, you know what? That really kind of upsets me.
What upsets you?
You were we entertained the idea, and you told me that you were a coffee drinker. So
I told you that I was a coffee drinker,
go ahead.
and then you bought a bigger coffee machine,
Yes.
and now there's a chance that either one of us could be not alive to share this coffee from the coffee maker.
But I had a weird. You were in it. It was pretty short and sweet. Basically, after I made, you pick up the entire fucking pot or whatever from the maker. You just drink it as it's steaming hot, and you drink all of it like it's nothing.
Okay, so I drank a lot of your coffee, and that was your nightmare?
It wasn't really a night, but I do have some gourmet shit. Appreciate. Well, I mean, I can't fucking ration how I eat this coffee to last for a podcast. That's all.
So the chat is still pretty angry that your voice is not coming through. It's breaking up. Like every third word is breaking up.
Yeah, sorry. It's not having my head. All right.
And Poseidon is saying, "Do your therapy sessions in private." Fuck, dude.
All right.
That sounds a hell of
this
a lot
better?
better. Yeah. What's going on there?
I just disconnected my headset, but I can hear myself.
Oh, so it's like reflecting back to you like a echo.
Basically.
Ah, well, your headset sucks.
I read an article about Discord is that you can only really use certain kinds of headsets. Something like that. I don't know.
I think Poseidon should get into my Discord and talk to us.
Who the hell is Poseidon?
Well, Poseidon Kikladon is he's like the person who has left the most comments ever on my YouTube channel.
Oh. I was about to say, I thought you were a fucking atheist. You don't believe in gods.
Ari says, this sounds so much better.
Oh, that is so. I appreciate that.
Okay. So I want to address that they said that this was a therapy session. It is not. No. I just talk this way all the time now. This has just become me. I just sound therapist-y. I am turning into Dr. Phil with hair.
Well, my bed does it does incline. I can just pull it up a little bit and I can lay down for you if you'd like.
Okay,
No.
so you're making a joke about a chaise lounge.
Well, I'm just saying the typical therapist image is there's always this guy on a leather couch with an incline looking up and expressing his woes to his therapist.
Yeah. I had to evacuate Misty's office contents because of this quarantine, right? And during the quarantine, her office is being renovated, like all the entire clinic, right? And one of her coworkers had his office emptied, and they don't know like why, because there's so much disarray in all the planning. And he had a poster of a unicorn, and the unicorn is sitting on a chaise lounge talking to his therapist, and the unicorn says, "Sometimes I find it hard to believe in myself." So this coworker of hers is really pissed off that his poster is missing. And so I was
Well, I
thinking
mean,
about actually like looking for that picture or something like it in Google Images, and then maybe trying to paint it for him. If when they put their offices all back together, if his poster is missing, maybe I could make a painting for him.
it's very sweet of you, Michael.
Just adjusted my camera a little bit because it was right in front of the first thing on the chat, so I couldn't see the most recent chat. Spurgleberry Farm wants to know, what are you planting in your victory garden?
Say that again.
Do you know what a victory garden is?
Victory garden.
Yeah. So in World War II, when supplies were low and people were recycling everything so that they could build tanks out of recycled cans, everyone had gardens in their lawns and in their backyards, and they were called victory gardens, right? And it was like, raise enough food for yourself so that the food that the farmers make can go out to the troops.
I
So
see.
in order to defeat this virus, making sure that you're not eating up too much of the available food from the stores by growing your own might be a good tactic. And it might also just, give you something to do at home because you're fucking bored. I bought
Well, I've
Misty
got a.
some championship tomatoes, like the
Oh,
seeds.
nice. Well, I've got a closet full of MREs, so I'm not worried about food. But still, you have a point.
Yeah. Oh, Poseidon Kicklodon says they started doing it during World War One. My history was off.
No, that's okay.
It looks
I
like
do.
green peppers is the biggest thing that people are growing in my chat.
That is one of my favorites, actually.
So I have this idea that we could also run through companies that should go out of business in order to save lives during this pandemic. Like companies that should like see a ethical dilemma in them keeping themselves open, such as Disneyland, right? Disneyland shut itself so that people wouldn't get infected at Disneyland, right?
Yeah.
Aries just says GameSpot because you can download games, right? They could just make all the games downloadable to consoles that get sold at GameSpot. So why would anyone go to GameSpot?
Well, I know that somebody has compiled a list of likely businesses that will likely go out of business as a result of this pandemic.
Oh, I'm not talking about a list of businesses that'll likely go out of business. I'm talking about businesses that should in order to save lives. Right. I'll say another one that I've talked about on my channel a lot. Lime scooters. People get on those scooters and their hands are touching the handles for an extended period of time, right? And there's a little bit of hand sweat that gets onto the handlebars of these scooters, right? And plus, if they're sick and they're coughing all over the handlebars, right? and then they
You're
stop.
so lucky that I've been to California, or else I wouldn't have heard of those things.
Okay, so the scooters they stop, they let somebody else rent them right from where they were, and then somebody else is touching all over where their hands were, so that hand contact is there. And so I think Lime scooters would be a good candidate for should suspend operations until this pandemic is over to prevent transmission.
I actually have an idea like that, but for apps, dating apps. Are you? Would you believe that dating apps are still functional and operational, and people are still using them during this time?
Dating apps.
Yeah.
Wow. Um, I'll go ahead and add that to my list of companies that should shut down during a pandemic. Dating apps.
You wouldn't believe like some of the statements that some of these dating apps have put out in reference to COVID-19. It is such PR bullshit.
Aries is saying that
Lots of
GameSpot tried to get
Mhm.
themselves called an essential service.
I can't say I blame them.
Jamie, if you
Michael,
want to talk to me directly, you need to get on my Discord. Uh, Phantom Lion's here too. It's the channel called Trouble.
you did that on purpose, Michael.
What, calling it Trouble?
Yes.
Yes, I did. Brian, it's on my Discord. It's the room called Trouble. If you want to join, you like Brian, don't you, Phantom?
Who the fuck is Brian?
Brian.
Brian who?
Brian J 1962.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay. It's a long time.
So I had not thought about dating apps. Dating apps really should be suspended, maybe,
I
or
have a
maybe
question for you,
maybe
Michael.
just like cigarettes, they could like on the screen flash a warning saying, you know, random fucking people can spread the COVID-19 virus, which could kill the fuck out of you. You know,
I don't think they've classified it as an STD or an STI quite yet.
no, like
I have a question though,
even
Michael.
just foreplay can kill you.
What do you think about the current CYA going on with governments in general, but specifically with the U.S. government?
I don't like the whole argument during uh, the bills that are supposed to help us throughout this crisis that are named after the COVID-19. I don't like how they're arguing. Oh, if you guys don't vote for this, then you're the reason why millions of people will die. And then the other side is like, no, if you don't vote for ours, then you guys are the reason why millions of people are going to die. And there are some people who are like, okay, just give out the money, and then with taxes next year, get the money back from the people who you don't want to have it. Just give everyone the money right now, make it quick, and then let taxes be the thing that straightens it out next year. And I'm on that side, really.
Well, the language that's being used by, if you want to call it an administration, it's so bad that you can't even listen to official White House broadcasts. You're better off listening to your local government and your local news stations about information on this, because they've had to issue so many fucking corrections and addendums and redactions and shit like that from
Yeah.
official White House broadcasts that nobody knows what the fuck to do. Those fucking medications that the fucking orange man recommended, they've begun to run out of them, number one. Number two, in treating the fucking virus, they've fucking made it worse with those recommended medications. And I don't see Donald Trump with a fucking PhD in medicine, so it really doesn't make a whole lot of fucking sense.
Yeah. I have heard of a run on people trying to stock up on their insulin, and insulin having to be rationed out at pharmacies where they don't allow people to get their quote unquote vacation supply, especially in the quarantine area where you're supposed to not be vacationing. So I've heard of that, but also once all of the hand sanitizer ran out, a couple videos came out showing how to create your own hand sanitizer using Everclear and aloe vera. The aloe vera gel that you could at that time still find on store shelves, which is now completely sold out, and people are mixing surgical spirits level alcohol and aloe vera to make their own hand sanitizer sprays. And
I've done that.
okay, I have the ingredients downstairs because we just had aloe vera anyway, and I can't bring myself to do it. Not even for a YouTube video. It just seems like an unnecessary mess.
Well, I find that a combination of a very handy dish soap that isn't too soapy, in combination with high content rubbing alcohol,
Hmm.
isopropyl.
Is that what
That's how
takes
you
the
fucking
burning
say it.
away?
No, it's just I'm putting that into a little container, and then that's my hand sanitizer. It works pretty well. It's very simple.
Hmm. So Poseidon Kicklodon in the chat says, "Tell asshole lion to get ready to enjoy President Trump for 4 more years. LMAO." Winky face.
Why am I an asshole? I mean, I am an asshole, but you don't even fucking know me. You don't get to call me an asshole when you don't know me.
That's not the default. That you just consider people assholes until they earn the respect of not being treated like an asshole.
You're right. I'm like the anti-Gandhi. But he's right, about Trump getting 4 more years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Let's see.
And now he's
There's a
saying
plethora of
that I
reasons.
should hang up on you and engage with the chat because you're putting them all asleep.
What?
Sleepy time with Fun
It's got
Blind.
to be my soothing voice.
You sound like you're gargling gravel.
Gargling
There's nothing
gravel.
soothing about that. You sound like the Cookie Monster trying to take on death metal.
I had this one idea for a cartoon of that actually being a thing. Cookie Monster in like a heavy metal band, but I'm sure someone's already done it. but it's like everybody's used to the super squeaky clean YouTubers now, so he's probably a simp.
A simp.
Jeez, I gotta say, Michael, your audience is fucking nuts. I love it.
Uh-huh. They're arguing about
Oh
what
yeah, they're a
the
bunch
best.
of. I mean, I thought I was psychotic until I started reading some of the comments on your videos. I'm like, wow, who the fuck are these people?
Hmm.
Hello.
Spurgleberry Farm says, do rubbing alcohol and moisturizer, and there's less chance of a DUI. Okay. But in this time of national crisis, I want you all to be aware that if your probation or parole officer puts a scram device on you and you're not allowed to be around alcohol, if you use a hand sanitizer and the alcohol from the sanitizer is touching your hands, the scram device will be set off. They're that sensitive.
Ooh.
And so there are a lot of people who are in jail who are going to get put on house arrest instead because the government does not want their deaths to be something that the government has to handle. So they're just sending them home and putting scrams on them. The scrams are way too sensitive. And Aries wants to know, how do we disinfect those devices? That's a very good point, because if the last person who wore the scram had the COVID virus, then, yeah.
I got
I'm
another
sure
question
that
for you, Michael.
it doesn't really matter if you disinfect it, because once the alcohol goes away, it goes back to operating normally. So when the alcohol evaporates, you're good.
So what do you
Brian
think
says
about
that
the
you are stereotyping and
what?
tribalizing us.
What?
Yeah.
Say again. Who's
He said,
tribalizing and
way to
stereotyping? What?
generalize, PL. Let's see if we can
What?
stereotype and tribalize some more.
Now you're breaking up.
How can I break up?
Okay, repeat his statement again. Just one more time.
He said that you're stereotyping and tribalizing.
What am I stereotyping and tribalizing?
And I believe he's probably typing right now to say that it went right over your head.
Well, I'm trying to take this situation seriously, so you'll have to excuse the shit out of me if I'm not.
He was in particular saying that you are attacking my entire audience as one type of people.
Oh. Right. In reference to the audience.
So
well, I was only.
I want more.
Never mind. I think that's bait. That's bait. Never mind. I have a question for you, Michael, about the current language being used like to describe the virus. A lot of people can't agree on what to call it.
Okay.
I personally call it the Wuhan virus because that's what the doctor Li Wenliang called it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the guy who tried to warn everybody about the fucking virus, and he called it the fucking Wuhan virus. So that's why I call it that, to pretty much honor him, honor the guy that tried to save everyone's ass.
Okay.
And what did they do? The Chinese government should have hired this fucking guy instead. Well, they probably got him killed, but they definitely silenced him, and he died anyway.
That is weird. My OK Google went off.
Your what?
My digital assistant went off.
Huh.
Anyways, yeah, I believe that it doesn't matter if we call it the Chinese virus, because for over 100 years we've been calling it the Spanish flu, and nobody thought it was racist. Even those people who think that calling it the Chinese virus is racist, when pressed, you can get them to talk about the Spanish flu epidemic. So
Yeah,
it's just a thing. It's denoting where it came from. But
yeah, it's a place. It's Wuhan is a place. That's it.
this
It's
is
not
one point that
racist.
I actually agree with President Trump on this. China tried to hide the epidemic from us. They lied to
Yes, they
us.
did.
We cannot trust their numbers even today. We cannot trust the numbers coming out of China because they're saying they have no new cases, right? So, given that they tried to silence the guy who was trying to warn the world, they do need to be known as the people who caused this.
I
You know,
agree.
the people would have been more aware had they not tried to silence the guy who was trying to spread awareness of this, and we would have had a couple more days to prepare. I don't know if we wouldn't have squandered those days like a lot of my fellow men are even today, but um, at least we would have had those days. And because the epicenter was in China, where the first outbreak happened, it was China's responsibility to not silence the guy, but to let the whole world know, hey, this could be coming your way. And they didn't. And that's why I think it's important that we call it the Chinese virus, and we associate it with them because their their silencing of it is what caused millions of people around the world to die.
Yeah.
And Brian prefers
It
Kung
is.
Flu.
Say again.
Brian prefers Kung Flu.
Oh, good lord. That's so bad.
Okay. Um,
I mean, it's funny.
Aries, after the whole discussion earlier that they were having about 5G towers being connected with this, wants to call it the Wi Fi flu.
What?
I
The
know.
Wi-Fi flu.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Everybody be Kung Flu fighting.
Allergies. Don't be alarmed. And, I have to say, I've been getting a lot of dirty looks
Mm-hmm.
whenever I go out into public and I cough or sneeze.
Yeah, could you stop doing that?
It's just allergies, Michael. I swear.
So Aries says that the bat virus is cooler. Do you think that that might get people to stop buying Batman comic books, though?
No, if anything, they'll put this into the fucking canon. They'll fucking make a comic book about Batman trying to combat the virus. And he'll call Ray Palmer the Atom or something like that. I don't know. They might put it into canon.
Okay.
I'm serious. They might put this into canon.
It would be, I think, logical given that we just had something called the swine flu where we blamed it on pigs, right? And if we were to call it the bat pangolin flu, not penguin, pangolin, that's where it came from. It does kind of remind me of Batman comics. Just how pangolin sounds like penguin. But
A little bit.
yeah, a little bit. But it makes sense that we're speciesists, right? So it's okay if you're being totally woke to blame a virus on a different species of animal on the planet, just not a different subspecies race of this animal that we are, because that's racist, and so that's bad. But if you go up one more uh, level of phylogeny, right, and and you call things based on species that they came from rather than race, then you're okay because you're racism bad, speciesism not as bad.
Apparently.
Yeah. Brian
Well,
Brian is introducing the concept in the chat. It's revolutionary, mind you. He says, "Don't fuck pangolins and you'll be fine."
well, he's right.
He's not wrong.
No.
God damn it, Aries! You just said vegans.
Huh?
Why did we have to talk about vegans, Aries? Why? Okay, he says some vegans
Interesting.
probably detest calling viruses after animals. Why did we even have to go there, Aries? I told you that I don't want to hear about vegans. That was earlier in this show. We already have to talk about Trump and coronavirus. I don't want to hear about vegans either.
So, you don't like vegans, do you, Michael?
I just don't want to talk about them.
Understandable.
Ivan Vane Veen says you have a Tom Jump style chair. I guess you hate God too.
I got nothing. I have no idea what that means.
Okay, so this is actually a Lazy Boy brand chair. It's a recliner. It's got the little handle on the side that I can pull up and I can. Anyways, I had one in my previous residence when I was in the beginning of this channel for a couple of years. Then I decided to get a new one when I moved to this residence, and I think this one will be beat up to the point of Misty not letting me take it to our next house. And the next house might be within the next 2 years after the housing market crashes. And to put it lightly, a whole bunch of people putting their houses back on the market for other people to enjoy. That's one of the silver linings that I have in all of this pandemic is that I'm expecting housing prices to be within my range again.
So, Michael.
Yeah.
How have you been spending your free time? Well, besides the live streams.
Well, today I went to my practicum, and that's one of the requirements that I have for finishing my master's degree. And since I've already gathered the required amount of hours for the practicum part, I talked myself out of a side job today because I realized that in these hard times that we're about to face, with agencies closing and whatnot, um, it was actually more cost effective for the owner to run the therapy the way that they were going to have to run it from now on, being telehealth, rather than pay me as a side employee because um, some of the groups were dwindling. Um, and if you just take the level of my pay and subtract it from the revenue of the number of people in the group, it just wasn't really worth it to run a business that way. And so, because I didn't foresee a lot of more new intakes because of this pandemic, I figure people are just going to put off doing a whole bunch of stuff. I was like, well, if the groups are going to be too small, then there's no use keeping me around as somebody that you got to pay. And so I kind of talked
That,
myself out of a job.
that kind of blows. But ethically, you did the right thing.
Well, I feel like ethically I did the right thing, not for like the ethics of me being greedy. If that was my priority, was me looking after me, uh, I just talked myself out of probably an extra $500-600 a month. But
Somehow,
the overhead that I would create by by latching myself onto that agency as a side job, I felt like that could be the margin that keeps them in business throughout this crisis. And so
mm,
I would rather them keep the work and the money to themselves and not have to pay me. Or if, let's say, the owner doesn't want to do the work personally, um, a different person can pick up those hours and then maybe make a full-time job out of all the little hours that they get here and there. I don't personally need those hours, but somebody might like be really desperate for that job. And so, you know, I'm just going to enjoy doing my homework, reading my books, talking to YouTube, you know, and not hog all the work to myself.
I suppose that's noble.
The big point to me though was it looked to me like the practice was in trouble because of all this. Because there's a lot of businesses that, if you take away their revenue for a couple weeks to a couple months, they're going to tank. They don't have enough revenue to stay in business for an extended period of time without making money. And having lost a business myself in 2014, I'm still stinging from that. And I don't want to see that happen to somebody else.
In theory, Michael, when this is all over, do you think you'll go back to being a therapist again? Or are you going to decide on a new career?
Um, I'll still be doing some therapy through this with telehealth. I will actually be running groups with Zoom, and I'll be pretty proficient at it. And I'll be able to share screens and do a lot of the stuff that we've been doing for 10 years here. You guys have been training me to be uh, an online therapist. And I think that it's actually going to be needed a lot more because, well, if I'm right, a good portion of America is about to die all in the next 2-3 months. And so there's going to be a lot of need for people to talk about their grief.
You are definitely right.
Yeah.
Michael, don't take this the wrong way.
Nothing that ever follows,
some
don't take this the wrong way, is ever nice.
um, it's just that I never really saw you as a therapist. Like when I first met you, a therapist, I didn't see that coming.
Okay.
That's a compliment.
Well, maybe therapists are all different, just like human beings. Like they don't go to therapy school to become robots that all have the same programming. There are different perspectives that different therapists have. And if you see one and you don't like them, just go find another one that you do like because we're not all the same. Um, my perspective is that sometimes people need to leave their therapy sessions without feeling good. Sometimes people need to rip off the band aid in order to heal. Sometimes people need to face an enforced 2 weeks of no alcohol in order to be able to, make changes in their life for the better.
Therapy's weird.
I know,
I don't
huh?
think it works on me.
Well, it hasn't so far. Maybe you just haven't
In
found the
my
right therapist.
opinion, no.
Well, it worked so far as fixing your sex life, I guess. But
Oh, come on, Michael. We're friends. I'm not your patient.
yeah, that was just a friendly suggestion, I guess. But it worked.
Okay, well, okay, you're gonna confuse people. Are we still live?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you mind if I tell the story? Hello.
I do because Poseidon says that you are a snooze fest.
Did I what?
You're a snooze fest.
Fuck him.
Brian, I did not say that most of America is going to die. I said a good portion of America is going to die. And a good portion is just a couple million.
Michael. You're absolutely right, but your numbers are a little off.
You think?
It's gonna be around 5 or 8. Maximum is like 10 or like around 10.
Do we have betting odds in the chat for where the total death count is going to go? Is it wrong?
But whoever gets the closest number wins the prize.
Yeah. So there's people yelling, "Hang up on Phantom Line! Hang up on him! Quit talking to him!"
Fuck them.
Right? But nobody's jumping into the trouble room to talk to me. But Phantom Line.
Michael, we're friends, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what can I do to be more fucking entertaining? I'm not a clown, so I'm sorry if I'm trying to take this fucking seriously. It's not my channel, so I'm not gonna act a fucking fool again on my friend's channel. I'm sorry.
Okay.
This may be weird, but when I did your little video for and I told you about this, Michael, when I held up the erotic dice,
Mm-hmm.
I made sure to have a filter on because YouTube's fucking rules change all the time. So I asked myself, is what I'm about to do flag worthy? So because it's not my channel, I put a filter on to disguise the fact that they were sex dice. And I was implying that you bought them for me in the video. I don't know if anybody got that. Uh, he didn't, but I'm gonna nod my head and said that Agent of Doubt bought them for me.
Brian said they look like roofie cubes, like you're about to put them in someone's drink in order to knock them out and have sex with them.
Those are fucking enormous, enormous fucking roofie cubes.
Are you sure you don't have the virus?
I'm sure I don't have the fucking virus, Michael. It's fucking pollen is everywhere. I'm gonna make some coffee. Do you want some coffee?
Sure.
Sweet. Fuck, you're not here. Never mind.
Jamie, my Discord is connected to my Patreon. I said before, people can pledge something and then take the pledge back after they get the access. That's the way to do it. I don't make my Patreon like mandatory to people, but I put that out there so that people have an easy way to get to me without even having to like know a friend of a friend on the Discord. And you don't have to have me break my train of thought and then stop and go deal with you, especially you. Like, I'm trying to do what I do while I'm live and then leave the setup behind the scenes. Wow, Poseidon, you really, really do not like the Phantom Lion. I can
Gee,
see.
seeing how he doesn't know me, I really don't give a shit.
So Terrence Hypno Nipple says this is Agent of Doubt interviewing the actual virus COVID-19.
Your audience cracks me up.
So Aries says 300 million times 2% death rate is 6 million or below dead, depending on isolation measures. Now, I did just watch Thunderfoot's video about 2 hours ago where that was his numbers, right? Here's the thing 2% death rate is being conservative when you look at the World Health Organization saying it's actually around 3.5%, right? And with Italy right now topping out at around 9%, because of what happens when you get slammed with those uh, public systems being full and people not getting the care that they need. So, like, when a certain amount of people can't get the ventilators, when that happens, the death rate goes up, right? So the 2% thing is just without people hitting that limit, there's still going to be like 2% of people who get it die, right?
Yeah.
Even with ventilators, people in hospitals are still dying. But
well, I
when
heard
there's
that
no ventilators whatsoever,
Elon Musk donated a shit ton of ventilators.
No, he retooled his shops to create ventilators, but he's still not really going to make a really big dent in the amount of ventilators we need. He's just doing his part. He also donated like a whole bunch of N95 masks that they use in their painting process. He had a shit ton of them, and he's just like, well, I can donate what we have and just not paint cars for a while. you know, so that was nice. And also, um, the one of the shows that I like to watch the most is New Amsterdam, and all the TV shows like Grey's Anatomy and whatnot. They all donated all their props that are actually real medical supplies. People are doing their part. I took my box of gloves that I use for painting, which are the same as you would find in a hospital, and I gave them to one of the agencies that I work for because they were going to run out of having gloves to do urinalysis because of the run on gloves everywhere else.
Michael.
Yes.
Okay, you cut out there. Discord blows.
Yeah, Discord does blow. I think I'm gonna maybe set up a Zoom room that would be permanent 24/7, and then kick it on while I'm in these instead of using Discord, because Discord is difficult to use.
So, Michael, with this pandemic. Oh, shit. By the way, before I forget, Rand Paul got infected with the fucking virus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that guy.
So Aries says that the true death rate is inflated in Italy because they're not testing as many people because they don't have more than mild symptoms. And so it's more people that go to the hospital that are getting tested. Here in America, we had a shortage of test kits, and so people weren't getting tested. And in fact, I think people might have been dropping dead uh, and not being counted as deaths from coronavirus because we didn't actually realize how far it had already spread.
This is why we need mandatory testing now.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have the capacity for it.
Here's some fucked up shit, you guys. So there was that Princess cruise ship, right? And it was held in international waters, and people were getting sick on the ship that were not sick before. And because it has this crappy ventilation system and that recirculates air, everyone on the whole fucking ship was getting infected when they could have been sent home to self quarantine, and maybe some of them wouldn't have gotten sick, right? They kept that ship out in the water so that it would not count against U.S. numbers because it was a U.S. ship coming to a U.S. port, right? So they keep that ship out in the water, and in a lot of the initial reports, instead of being assigned to a country, that ship was its own line in the numbers, like it was its own country, right? Fast forward 2 months, and people are pissed off because President Trump is calling it the China virus, right? When President Trump probably had a hand in the whole reason why that ship did not dock and people on that ship died so that America would not be known as one of the larger numbers in this coronavirus outbreak for a little bit longer so that the stock market wouldn't crash.
Yeah, he's so fucking worried about the stock market.
Hi, Brian.
Hang on, I'll be with you in just a second.
Wow.
I'll be with you in just a second.
Okay.
You know, I probably shouldn't be smoking, but I mean, who cares? We all might die anyway.
I had to reset some volume levels there.
Okay, how's that? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
And Discord blows ass.
It does.
That's all right.
So I don't hear myself anymore, but I hear an echo of Brian.
Yeah, Brian's pretty loud. I can adjust his user volume on my end.
Yeah, I can hear myself. There we go.
Oh, wait. Keep talking, Brian.
Mary, quite contrary, had a little lamb. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall.
All right.
Is that better?
He sounds like a fever dream.
A what? A fevered dream?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure those are allergies?
No, I think that he might have contracted the virus, and he's using
I don't have the
dating apps.
fucking virus, Michael.
And then he's using dating apps in order to spread the virus.
Ugh.
That's so responsible.
Yeah.
No, I'm not on the fucking dating apps.
Not
anymore.
Not anymore.
I was about to call him on his shit, and then he's like, "Not anymore."
Now, for the record, I fucking deleted my profile like a month before the fucking virus hit, so don't give me any of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Phantom, are you on headphones?
No, I am not, and I just took my headset off in order to accommodate Michael.
Okay, because that's why I'm hearing you twice then. Okay.
Terrence
Yeah,
says
I don't think
that
it's
Phantom
any of
might
our faults
die.
in particular. It's just mastering Discord's audio is kind of an art.
It is.
Okay.
Also, I haven't smoked cigarettes in a while, so there's another reason for my coughing, potentially.
So, Yellow Labrador.
Well, I am still smoking, so that explains my cough.
Yellow Labrador saying that Spain care homes have been abandoned by staff, and there's dead residents inside of them.
Damn. Well done, Spain.
That's in the Daily Mail.
Well, I don't know how much of that is sensationalism then.
Yeah. There's a lighter take on it on Reuters. But yeah.
What country is Spain located in? Spain is located in Spain, Jake.
So
it's just a little bit south and west of France and north of Africa.
Aries says that this sounds like a zombie movie, and I agree. And the people who aren't taking the quarantine seriously and they're out doing things like going to the beach with all the other people, those are the same assholes who would hide a zombie bite.
Agreed.
You mean the ones that just went off to spring break with free abandon and said, "Woohoo, let's get it on"?
Those ones.
Yeah, yes. Those assholes.
Yeah, they're also the ones that are likely to go and shoot up a nursing home in search of a couple of band-aids.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dark.
Have you not played 7 Days to Die?
7 Days to Die. That's a video game.
It is, yes. But
it's
based on a zombie apocalypse.
Sounds cool.
And I do kind of find it somewhat ironically amusing that it's a very popular game right now.
So I'm going to close the stream and just talk to you guys. And if anybody wants to join the after party, go ahead and join my Discord server.
Sorry if I was fucking boring, you motherfuckers. I can't talk to a fucking friend of mine during the apocalypse.
Stay safe.
I'm having a civil fucking conversation with a friend of mine, and he's boring.
You're having a meltdown, Phantom. Chill.
I'm not having a meltdown. I